Hello friends, I am David and welcome to the Global Pulse. Today's topic is the unrest and the demonstrations of independence against Pakistan government in Pakistan Occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Why does Pakistan want independence from Pakistan? The 5 factors that have led to the betrayal and offended among the local people. Official Kashmir, that is, POK, has been witnessing large-scale protests for the past 4 days. The people here have taken to the streets against the Pakistan government. Clashes are also occurring between the police and protesters in many places. It is understood that the people of Pakistan are questioning why Pakistan's government and army rule over them. Violence has once again flared up in Kashmir under Pakistan's control. The people of Pakistan have taken to the streets against the Pakistani government. Violent demonstrations have been ongoing in Pakistan for 3 days now. Currently, there seems to be no hope of them calming down. Calls for freedom are echoing in Pakistan. According to the news agency PTI, a police officer has died in the violent protests. More than 100 people are reported injured. These protests in POK are being held under the banner of the Jammu and Kashmir Joint Action Committee (JAC). ESPS. Kamran Ali of Mirpur referred to dawn that in the violent demonstration, C. Adnan Qureshi has died. Qureshi was shot in the chest. The majority of the members in the Joint Action Committee are small businessmen. They aim to abolish cheap flour, cheap electricity, and facilities provided to the rich. According to information, the police have arrested more than 70 activists of the Joint Action Committee. Meanwhile, President Asif Ali Zardari and Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif have appealed to all parties to exercise restraint and resolve issues through dialogue. How are the conditions in Pakistan? Generally, there are often protests against the Pakistani government in Pakistan, but this time, these protests turned violent. According to local media, mobile and internet services have been shut down in different parts of Pakistan. All mobile networks and internet services have been shut down in Mirpur. Demanding their rights, the Joint Action Committee announced a shutdown and a strike on Friday. The committee was supposed to march from Kotli to Muzaffarabad on Saturday. However, on Friday itself, there were violent clashes between the police and protesters in many places in the capital of Pakistan, Muzaffarabad. Meanwhile, Jurassic spokesperson Hafiz Hamdani said that the violence has nothing to do with the Action Committee. Hamdani alleged that those inciting violence among the protesters deliberately included to tarnish their movement. Page 4 Monday marks the 4th day of the strike in Pakistan. Protesters have accused the government of procrastination. The situation in Pakistan is still tense. Currently, the administration has imposed restrictions on gatherings, rallies, and processions in all districts of Pakistan. Section 144 has also been imposed. But why the protest? Local leaders of Pakistan have accused the Pakistani government of discrimination. They have also claimed militarization of Pakistan. Last week, Pakistan activist Amjad Ayub Mirza had said that people are angry over issues like inflation, unemployment, and removal of subsidies on wheat and flour, as well as taxes and electricity. President Asif Ali Zardari has stated that the demands of the people of Pakistan will be addressed according to the law. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Finance Minister Abdul Majid Khan claimed that the demands of the Action Committee had been accepted and an agreement had been reached. Under the agreement, the government had agreed to maintain subsidies on flour and electricity tariffs at 22 levels. However, the Action Committee later withdrew from this agreement. The electricity issue in Pakistan has been a burning issue for many years. Just in February, there was a major protest in Pakistan over it. Residents of Pakistan claim that while the rich and powerful get electricity for 24 hours, poor households face power cuts of 18-20 hours. Activists here claim that despite hours of power cuts, residents are burdened with hefty electricity bills. Why is there resentment against Pakistan? 1. Electricity. 20% of the electricity in Pakistan is generated from the Mangla Dam. However, despite this, Pakistan receives only 30% of its required electricity. A significant portion of this is diverted to the Punjab province of Pakistan. 2. Infrastructure. Basic infrastructure in Pakistan is also weak. In 70 years, there are no roads, bridges, or proper schools and hospitals. It is said that whatever infrastructure is built in Pakistan, it is used by the Pakistani military. 3. Inflation. Although inflation exists throughout Pakistan, its impact is more pronounced in Pakistan. It is claimed that the people here receive no relief from the government. Even essential items like flour are not subsidized. Subsidies on flour are among the biggest demands of the people here. 4. Neglect of locals. For Pakistan, Pakistan is merely a piece of land where they fight against India. Despite having abundant natural resources, Pakistan does not get a fair share. Moreover, Pakistan has also become a major hub for terrorists. Locals receive no compensation if they are injured or killed in terrorist activities. 5. Local government. Pakistan refers to Pakistan as Azad Kashmir, has its own prime minister and president. Chaudhry Anwarul Haq is the prime minister here. Pakistan also has a legislative assembly with 53 seats. However, there are allegations of rigging from the Legislative Assembly to Prime Minister elections. The current PM Anwarul Haq is considered a puppet of the Pakistani government by the people of Pakistan. What is the situation in Pakistan? In reality, Pakistan is divided into two parts. The first is called Azad Kashmir by Pakistan, and the second is Gilgit-Baltistan. The part of Azad Kashmir is adjacent to India's Kashmir, whereas Gilgit-Baltistan borders the Ladakh region from the northernmost part of Kashmir. This entire region is spread over an area 90,972 square kilometers. Azad Jammu and Kashmir cover 13,297 square kilometers, and Gilgit-Baltistan covers 72,495 square kilometers. Strategically, Pakistan is quite important. Its borders connect with several countries. Its western border lies with Pakistan's Punjab province and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In the northwest, it is connected to the Wakhan corridor of Afghanistan, to the north with China, and to the east with India's Jammu and Kashmir. In 1949, there was an agreement between the leaders of Azad Jammu and Kashmir and the Pakistani government. This is called the Karachi Agreement. Under the agreement, the leaders of Azad Jammu and Kashmir handed over Gilgit-Baltistan to Pakistan. The current situation is that although Pakistan has occupied as much of Kashmir as it could, it is still far behind. This is why the so-called Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan people demand independence. Now, the question is, how did Pakistan illegally occupy POJRK? Just a few months after independence, on October 22, 1947, thousands of tribesmen from Pakistan infiltrated into Kashmir in hundreds of trucks. Their aim was to merge Kashmir into Pakistan. These were the tribesmen who received support from the Pakistani government and army. On October 27, 1947, Maharaja Hari Singh signed the Instrument of Accession with India. The next day, the Indian Army entered Kashmir. Gradually, the Indian Army started pushing back the Pakistani tribesmen. It is said that on the advice of then Governor-General of India, Mountbatten, Jawaharlal Nehru took this issue to the United Nations on January 1, 1948. That year, there were 4 proposals in the United Nations regarding Kashmir. While all this was happening in the United Nations, Pakistani forces had already illegally occupied large parts of Kashmir. A ceasefire was achieved between the two countries through the intervention of the United Nations, but it was also decided that as much Kashmir as India had would remain with India, and whatever portion Pakistan had captured would go to Pakistan. Hence, what Pakistan occupied is now called Pakistan. Thank you very much for being with us. See you soon.